My name is David Noller. I go by the name Scratch D of Dynamix II.
And where did it all begin for you?
It all began back in the early 80s for me, working in a skating rink. I learned how to DJ there, and that was sort of the birth of that kind of music, this style of music that we branched off into and expanded on,
Which was?
which was electro. Electro music, when we were growing up, we heard Kraftwerk, we heard Yellow Magic Orchestra, and acts like that, ELO. And that was just an inspiration to me, and I always wanted to do something like that. And during my childhood years also, I would go visit my grandparents up in New Jersey, and I would hear the radio stations such as 92 KTU and WBLS, and I heard all these master mix shows where they had Shep Pettibone and the Latin Rascals doing reel-to-reel tape edits. This is what inspired me to do what I did.
And when was it that you went to school, and what did you go to school for?
I graduated high school in '85, so I left there and went straight to Full Sail for a recording and engineering class. I took that and graduated, and as soon as I got back, I hooked up with Bass Station Records, and brought a very good friend of mine aboard, and we put together the first record that would be released as Dynamix II.
Can I back up a little bit before that?
Sure.
When you came back from Full Sail, did you have a home studio at all?
Yes, I did.
And during that time, if I understand correctly, your first real collaborative effort that made a wave was with Danny D?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell me about your collaboration with Danny D?
Danny D. He was a good friend of mine, and back in at the time, we were shopping a record to Bass Station. This was right after I went to recording school. It was called "That's the Way I Like It," and we were gonna put it out with Bass Station, but at the time, Danny D. was very good friends with Cooley C, and Cooley C was on Beware Records. And Danny wanted to stick with Beware, and I felt that there was more potential to go with Bass Station, so that's where we sort of parted ways.
Did I misinterpret it when you said to me, or when I heard, that Cooley C oversaw the recording of "That's the Way I Like It," the original recording? That
Yes, he did. He did.
Maybe I should have you repeat it so it's not just me and you saying
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Did anyone oversee the session that you did with Danny D?
Yes, Cooley C was definitely a part of the whole "That's the Way I Like It" track for Danny D. It was sort of a collaboration between the three of us. We were, experimenting back then. It was all, a new type of music. There was like the Two Live Crew doing this, and adding samples, and then Danny wanted to have a hook record that had a great hook to it, and he took decided to take the Casey and the Sunshine Band, "That's the Way I Like It," and turn it into a bass track.
And what is your speculation as to why he wanted to go with Beware?
Because he was very good friends with Cooley C, and he just wanted to be around Cooley and go on the same label Cooley was on, and they really were good friends.
So why is it that you decided not to go to Beware and instead go to Bass Station?
Bass Station just had a different kind of funding. They had the ability to push the record a lot harder, and I felt that the best move for me would to go with Bass Station.
So when Bass Station took an interest in what you were shopping them, clearly Danny D wasn't a part of that. You still got a deal with Bass Station. What was it? What was their expectations of you at that point, being Danny was no longer there?
Well, when I went to recording school in Full Sail and I came back, I had a demo cut that had samples all over it, and it was sort of a sample track. This was sort of before Pump Up the Volume came out, so it was that style of music, and it was a medley that I was going to put out. And I let them hear it, and they were crazy about it, and that's what sort of led to the whole deal with Bass Station, is to have an act sort of like what I was listening to in New York growing up. In all the master mixes, I was going to fuse that together and make that into a record, into a 6-minute record.
Why have I never heard this?